Hello everybody, welcome to this week's teaching overview video for Sunday the 10th of May. This Sunday is our fourth and our last session of our In Christ Jesus theme. So over the last few weeks we've been talking about our identity and how we find our identity in Jesus as a child of God, and what that means for our lives basically. So yeah, today we are finishing by talking about being chosen and finding our purpose in Christ. So the groups might be, you might have a few extra visitors, children from the Crawley congregation. They're not meeting today because of the Gatwick Marathon. So there might be a few faces from the Crawley congregation. But yeah, we are all rounding up our theme by talking about being chosen. Our memory verse for today is Ephesians 2:10. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So just to recap, if you weren't there, if you've not been at any of the sessions, week 1 we talked about being a child of God, being a part of God's family. Week 2 was being a new creation, going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. We're transformed, we're forgiven. Last week was all about holiness and being set apart. So I have left the ball game in your rooms if you want to play that again this week, where they had to sort out the colours, the colour balls by separating them by colours. You can go back and check last week's teaching, but I think most people were doing the teaching last week. So I've left the balls, and we have a fresh set of Who Am I cards for this week's game. And this week is going to be job theme, like career theme, to kind of go with the idea of like a purpose and a job. So yeah, there's some different like farmer, policeman, that kind of thing. So you've got the ball game and you've got a fresh set of Who Am I cards to start off your session with, and obviously recap the weeks that we have been through. I know not all the children come every week, so it's really important that we recap so that they kind of understand what we've been talking about and our themes kind of unravel themselves. So yeah, let's do the games and a recap. Then in your rooms, I've put a basket with random objects in, so you can see in the teaching notes we've said about starting off by observing some objects and talking about what are these, what's their purpose, what are they made for, how do they fulfill their purpose. So I've already put a basket of random items like a musical instrument or a cup or a straw or a peg, and I'll probably add some things to it over the next few days. So you can pick your own things, but there's be a random basket of objects to kind of kick off this session by talking about being chosen and being created and having purpose, going looking at the objects. What are their purpose, why have they been made, etc. And then it is the same for us. We are created, we are designed for a reason. We are God's workmanship, we are his masterpiece. We weren't made by mistake, we are not accidents, but we are here, we're chosen by God, and we have a purpose. So we'll start off looking at Ephesians 2:10 and then look at 1 Peter 2:9 verses to 10, where it talks about being chosen, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. The older group will get into it a little bit deeper, and basically talking about how do we share God's goodness and share his light in the world. If we are created in Christ Jesus for good works, what are these good works? And basically talking about how we can be a light to the world and to our friends and to our family. So we want like quite a practical discussion, so it's, you know, helpful for them to be able to apply this to their lives. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking a million miles an hour. And yeah, that's basically it for the teaching, and then lead a response however you feel led to with your group and your age. Then we move on to the craft. So Dave has made these cool little fold out things. So basically it's got a little boy or girl, we'll send, hope there'll be enough for boys and girls, and then there'll be a bit in the middle and it has all of the words from the different sessions that we've looked at. So in Christ Jesus I am a child of God, a new creation, forgiven, holy and set apart, chosen, have purpose. So we'll send a coloured version of this, and it will look like that. So they'll just need to have 2 semicircles each, one of these each, which I've already pre-cut. You'll just need to fold them, cut these out and stick them, obviously the head on the top and the legs on the bottom. And hopefully it will look something like that. And then got to send some ink pads and some wet wipes, or you can use the sinks to wash your hands upstairs. And they can put their fingerprint on the blank space. So that's why there's a blank there, and that's why you've got the ink pads. They can just do 1 or 2 fingers. Obviously, yeah, have the wipes or hand washing readily available so you don't get ink everywhere, but then they can put their own fingerprint. And this is just another good opportunity to explain and round up the series and remind them that they are a child of God, they are loved, they are chosen, they belong. That's the whole point of this theme, is just to really help all of our young people and children know their identity in Jesus and be secure in that, and know that they belong and that they have a purpose. So no matter what they grow up to be when they're older, whatever job they have or family or whatever, first and foremost we find our purpose in Jesus. So you have that, and then I'll leave also like leftover craft and colouring for the last few weeks. If you need something extra, we have these from another theme we did, kind of like these badge things, these circular bits of paper that say working for God or something else anyway, and they can kind of stick it to the colour background. So I'll send those as well in case you need it. On your USB stick there are some brand new songs. I think there's 4 or 5 new action songs. So yeah, feel free to use those and to worship. And yeah, if you have any questions, please let Dave or I know. As I said, it might be slightly busier, but I don't think it will be too busy. And yeah, if you need anything before then or have any questions, just let me know. So have a good week, and I will see you Sunday morning.